Hello everyone. I thought I would record a video today. It has been a little while. What I want to do today is a little bit different to my other videos in terms of it's not going to be necessarily me talking through some of the aspects of the content or sort of like a little mini lecture like I've done previously, a little bit different. Today I'm going to be reading from the wonderful book that I'm 2/3 of the way through and loving so far is this fantastic book, Teacher, One Woman's Struggle to Keep the Heart in Teaching by Gabby Stroud. And Gabby has been in the news a little bit. Certainly I've seen her on the breakfast programs and things promoting her book. And she has been speaking out for a number of years certainly around the NAPLAN and standardization in teaching and speaking out against that from her experiences. She has previously written a wonderful piece for the Griffith Review, which I'll link on the Facebook page there as well. You can have a read of that. That's also wonderful. I'll be reading a short excerpt from this book today. Gabby has had a number of different teaching experiences. She's no longer in teaching. She was a primary school teacher first and foremost, but I think her insights, as you'll see, very much play into secondary teaching as well. And if you really want a wonderful insight into the realities of teaching, the tone and the texture of teaching, the reality and what it feels like to be a teacher, this book will give you that. And at several times throughout reading this so far, and I haven't finished yet, I've gotten goosebumps because it just takes me right back into the classroom when I was a teacher and some of the challenges and rewards that the profession holds. And it's such an excellent read for any pre-service teacher for sure, and very much aligns with my own approach to pre-service teacher education, which is really trying to communicate the realities, both the micro and the macro views of teaching and the realities today. So I'm going to read a short excerpt from her book that really connected well with I feel your experiences, because in this part of the book, Gabby is a practicing teacher at quite a challenging school in New South Wales on the coast there, and she's thinking back to her time as a pre-service teacher and a lesson about classroom management. And I just thought it was just a wonderful little vignette that I can read to you, and I am interested to hear your thoughts either on the Facebook page or in the Collaborate session if you're joining tonight, to talk to what you think about this excerpt and just what it kind of thinking it stimulates in you. So I'll go ahead and read this now. So what Gabby is describing here, as I said, she's already working as a teacher and she's thinking and reflecting back on her time as a pre-service teacher. So the chapter is called Empty Vessels. It starts at page 110. So she begins, "The next morning as I drove into Paradise being the town in which she's working, and the school, I tried to dredge up enough courage and stamina to last the day. There are no bad kids, I reminded myself primarily. There's just bad behaviour. But what does that mean? My thoughts ranged back. What does that mean when a kid throws something at you, swears at you? What do you do about it? And suddenly a memory came to me. I was at uni in a tute passing notes with friends. Because we were immature and texting still wasn't a thing. Facebook not even invented. One tutor, one of the inaccessible academics, wheeled a TV out from the storeroom and started plugging in the cords. He was one of those lecturers who made abstract comments on your assignments, made you wonder if he was drunk when he wrote them. How so, he would write. Interesting, but also interesting. I doubted he'd be able to manage a class of even 10 primary school kids. The only reason he was managing us was because he held the power to fail us. Can everybody see? He slotted a video into the player. Gab, shouted a voice from behind me. It was Davo. Big guy, big mouth. Can you shove over? Your hair's so big I can't see. Your hair's like pubes. Anyone ever told you that? I turned to glare, but we were all laughing. The video started. It was footage of a group of children aged about 10. A woman, presumably a teacher, was working with them. She was dressed in a particularly fetching beige twin piece, circa 1970s. My friend Kath giggled. I might wear that for prac next week, she whispered. We watched as the children worked through their activity. It looked like reading groups with books and worksheets and a cassette player with headphones. Suddenly, one of the boys picked up the tape player. This fucking tape player doesn't work, he shouted, lifting the player over his head like he was going to throw it. One lecturer pressed pause. The boy was suspended on screen, tape player overhead. In the background, I could see the teacher, a blurry, beige blob, stage right. What a little shit, I heard Davo say. Now, said the lecturer, rubbing his hands together, I want you to write down how you would respond. What would you do? It wouldn't happen in my classroom, Kath whispered. The kids in my class would know you weren't allowed to swear. I filled a page describing how I would sensitively and calmly remove the student from the room. I wrote about how I'd use iMessages to let the boy know that I found his language offensive. I don't like to hear swear words. I feel uncomfortable when people swear in the classroom. I'd like you to choose other words. I described how I would direct him to our classroom rules, which had been carefully negotiated with the group at the start of the school year, and I would point to the rule that read, we use positive words. If the student had accrued any house points or sticker rewards, they would immediately be stripped of them. They would be done in front of the other students, sending a clear message that I didn't tolerate bad language. I concluded by suggesting an age-appropriate consequence, aligning with school policy, probably a timeout, and a letter home to parents. Now just pause there. And I'm sure if you are asked to respond in the same way, much as you've done probably already in this unit, and I'm working through your assessments and reading them now, that this is all best practice, is it not? Let's see where it goes. After a while, the lecturer asked us to share our responses. There was a range, some stricter than others, but all of them in line with the sort of stuff I had written. We would be positive but proactive, fair but firm, each of us politically correct, and demonstrating our burgeoning understanding of how this thing called teaching was to be done. The lecturer nodded, smiling in a way that was both gleeful and patronising. He pressed play on the video and we watched this as the scene returned to life. The beige teacher walked to the boy and lowered the tape player. What's happening here? She asked, inspecting the tape player. It's not fucking working, the boy said. Let's see if we can figure it out. The teacher's voice was warm, with a disconcerting calmness that matched her earlier dialogue. The lecturer stopped the video again and turned to face us. He rubbed his hands together again, raised his eyebrows. Well, that's fucked. Davo threw his pen on the desk, leaned back in his chair, and looked like a year 6 kid I'd been observing on prac just a week before. How's that kid going to learn not to swear? The lecturer raised his eyebrows even further. That's right, he said. I agree with you. I'm not making a statement, Davo insisted. I'm asking a question. I folded my arms and waited. I was with Davo on this one. Perhaps a better question might be, the lecturer paused. Perhaps a better question might be, how did that child learn to swear? From the playground, someone said. From TV, said someone else. Music, movies, the internet. Yes, the lecturer said, and maybe he learned it at home. He said the words carefully, slowly. Maybe he learned it at home. Maybe, he continued, that child has a father who tells him every day that he's fucking useless. Maybe that child has a mother who asks him to pass the fucking vodka. Maybe that child didn't have breakfast that morning because the fucking car's broken and they don't have enough fucking money to fix it. Maybe there's not much lunch in his fucking lunchbox. Maybe the lunch he has got, he's even given to his little sister. Maybe that kid spends as much time as he can at grandma's house because he knows she's always got a tin of tomato soup in the cupboard and he prefers the smell of cigarettes that's embedded in grandma's carpet to the smell of drunken vomit in his house. Maybe it's just great that this kid turned up at school today, and maybe he was right. Maybe the fucking tape player didn't work. As his words filled the room, I felt a sudden expansion of my mind and my heart and a twisting in my gut. Tears came to my eyes. Not every kid has had my childhood. Not every kid has a childhood. They're not empty vessels, the lecturer said. At the time, it had made perfect sense. They were not empty vessels waiting for the teacher to fill them up. They were children with lives beyond school and experiences beyond the classroom. I had left that tutorial feeling empowered. I vowed I'd be as calm as the beige lady when a student swore at me. But I hadn't felt calm. I realised as I steered my car towards Paradise School. All day I'd been on edge, on high alert, ready for something bad to happen. As I pulled up outside the school, I felt my heart rate kick up a notch. You know what? I said out loud, teachers aren't empty vessels either. So, an interesting excerpt, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on Gabby's reflections there, on thinking back to her time in pre-service teacher education. I think there's some connective tissue with some of the themes that we've been developing in this unit, not only around, yes, best practice methods, but perhaps sometimes how those best practice methods intersect with the realities of young people's lives. I think there's certainly a reality of social class there, as it's been spoken about previously. So, let's maybe think about what you heard, what it means for you, and for those joining the Collaborate later, we can have a discussion on this and see where it leads. Feel free to also add your thoughts and comments on the Facebook page in regards to anything you might be considering as well. So thank you for once again engaging with the content in this unit, and I will see you again soon.